I'm very happy to be joined here today by W.L. Hawkin. She is an author. Her name is Wendy, but on her books, it's written W.L. Hawkin. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of
Happy to
course.
be here.
Yes, of course. Thank you for joining me. You write a lot of fantasy. There is a series that you have going on, one of them being To Dance with Destiny. And the way I've read about it, it's about a coven of witches who solve murders. And I think that's a very unique and awesome idea. So tell me a little bit about this series and what people should know about it.
Sure. Well, the series started quite some time ago when I was teaching high school and going a little bit crazy. And because I'm an introvert, and high school is not a good place for introverts, as you may know. So I was coming home and writing this urban fantasy series about a Wicca coven. It's pretty steamy kind of a series, and it really helped me get through years of being a high school teacher. So the first one was To Charm a Killer, and it just kind of morphed from there into there's a high priest named Estrada who is also a Gothic magician at a Vancouver nightclub. And he's polyamorous and he's bisexual. He gets into a lot of mischief and a lot of trouble. And what happened is the series just, because of my writing process, the series just morphed into his journeys, and so it followed through now 5 books where I've just followed him as he travels around the world, basically trying to save his family and friends, trying to work out his personal issues, and getting into a lot of trouble.
I think it sounds absolutely fantastic, and just a big adventure. And the fact that it kind of, some of it takes place in Canada, I think that also adds elements. I've loved reading different types of books that actually are set in Canada, because you feel more at home when you're reading them, for sure. Now you have this whole series. You've written so many books. You have a newer book coming out called Writing with Your Muse, A Guide to Creative Inspiration. Now, this seems like a very different style of book, but it could help people who are interested in writing and want to get, involved in writing their own novel. Tell me a little bit about what this book is, when it's coming out, and, how it will help people who do want to write.
For sure. I'm launching it January 9th because I've got Destiny coming out October 31st. So I need a little breathing space there with Christmas in the middle of that. But this book evolved because I was writing another novel, which I actually have written now, about a girl who goes back to a lighthouse, and she's had some trauma, and the trauma has unleashed her power to see spirits. And so I went to a mediumship class, and I ended up doing about a year of mediumship training where we actually talked to spirits. And in part of that, I completely opened up because we were doing so much meditation, and it became apparent that this is what I needed to write, that this book sort of morphed out of those sessions, as did the covers of my Hollystone books, because one of the women who was there did all my tattoo covers. So that was kind of a really interesting thing. So what it's about is it's about slowing your brain waves. So a lot of us are walking around in beta brain, what I call beta brain, which is we're busy, we've got a million things going on. And when you're like that, you cannot reach your creative potential, okay? So a lot of the time when we're super creative, it's when we're in that twilight zone, when you just wake up in the morning or you're just going to bed at night, and then your brain has a chance to slow down. It goes into an alpha state first. If you're really lucky, it goes into a theta state, which is where I love to live. What I use is meditation, get there, and I use visualization. So the book has a lot of really breaking down how to do visualization, what the brainwave thing is about, taking people on shamanic journeys, because I use shamanic journeys. It's a little bit out of left field, so it's quite different. But as you can tell, I am a little bit out of left field as well. I'm pretty well left-brained, and right-brained. I'm right-brained. And so that's what happens there. And what I'm hoping to do is actually once it comes out is to have like Facebook Live sessions where people can join me and we can go into doing some of these meditations.
That's awesome. And, it's a very unique, different way. So I think that's awesome. Now, all of your books, if people are interested in your series or this one that's coming out in January, where can people find them to purchase them?
I think the best place to start for me is Blue Haven Press, and it's just bluehavenpress.com. And I mean, I've got everything sort of on my website. And if you're in Canada and you're interested in autographed books, I made my books small enough that I can actually mail them in Canada in the letter mail. Okay. So I mean, that's a bonus, right? So instead of, $15 postage, it's like $6. So it makes a big difference, big difference. So yeah, so I can do that piece as well. And there's instructions for how to connect with me there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I think your series sounds actually amazing, and I think I'm gonna have to check it out for sure. Definitely right
Sure.
up my alley. So I wish you the best of luck with your two releases that are coming out at the end of October, and
Thank you.
then at the beginning of January. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.